Good morning, everyone, and thank you for dialing into our innovation showcase. I'll give it a couple of minutes for you to barrel through the virtual front door. So we're starting on time today, and I'll do my best to keep this event on time as well. So firstly, my name's Doyle. I'm the industry manager with ecologiQ, and today I also have my co-host Lauren Rowett, who's the manager industry and engagement. Who'll be between both of us, we'll be delivering today's showcase, which I think is really exciting, and I think we've got a cracker lineup of great presenters and innovators to talk to you about the latest in circular economy goods and services. So I see our room is just starting to fill up now. So I think I get a start. Before we get started officially, I do want to acknowledge, although we're meeting virtually, that we still meet on traditional lands. So for me, I'm dialing into you from the lands of the Bunurong people, the Eastern Kulin Nations. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge any First Nations or Aboriginal people that we might have here on the webinar today, and also to the lands from which you're all dialing in from as well. I mean, for me, I always enjoy doing the acknowledgements to country because, when we talk about who is ecologiQ and what we do, we're a Victorian Government program that's been around to instill a recycle first policy on Victoria's road and rail projects. But it is part of a broader step change to what we call the circular economy. So I think that's probably not unfamiliar to most people in the audience, but if it's the first time you've heard of it, the circular economy to me really talks about the way that our business model in terms of make, waste, and dispose, we all know is unsustainable. So there's a way that we can recover those resources, keep them in operation, avoid using them in the first place. I think we know that that's the best way we can go forward in terms of some of the challenges we have ahead of us, from resource constrictions right through to climate change and carbon. And you know what? We call it a circular economy, but I think our First Nations people just called it caring for country, and they've done so very well for so many thousands of years that that's why I always enjoy talking about this, as well as doing the acknowledgements to country. So. But just a little recap, ecologiQ has been delivering the Recycle First policy, which means that a lot of our road, rail, and tunneling projects have had to look at the use of recycled materials wherever possible, then optimize in terms of needs to make sense, it needs to perform, it needs to be safe, and it needs to be available and economic. And secondly, they've been reporting on the quantity and volumes of those materials used to date on their projects. So here in Victoria, I think I just got an update yesterday from our data team that we've now hit almost 6 million tonnes of recycled and reused materials on our road, rail, and tunnelling projects. And for the other Melbourne metric, it's enough to fill over 2.5 mcgs. So quite a bit of that material diverted from landfill. Now, helping me to provide some advice and guidance to our presenters for today's showcase, we've assembled a couple of experts from industry, and that's who form our panel. I've had an apology from one of our panelists, but that's okay. We still have Nicholas Lee and Leanne Griffin here to help us. And I think I saw both of you on the line in no particular order. Leanne, yeah, there, I can see you there. Did you want to say hello to the audience and introduce yourself and what you do, and maybe any thoughts for today?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today. I am the circular economy lead for Arup in the Australasia region. And I've also been a long-standing, team member and supporter of ecologiQ. I used to be with the program back when the Recycled First policy was first rolling out, and I've been kind of involved on and off over the years as well. So really looking forward to hearing all of the great ideas today.
Thanks, Leanne. Nicholas, representing Department of Transport.
Morning, all. So I'm manager materials assurance. The team looks after material registration schemes, mainly in the road space. So looking after the asphalt, concrete, crushed rock mix designs. The team also does accreditations for quarries. And as part of that, we also do look at, when novel materials or different materials come out and do make assessments on those.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicholas, and always great to have the Department of Transport's input, so it is appreciated. So the format for today is pretty straightforward. Over the next hour or so, we'll probably finish up well before 12. We'll have 3 presentations. So Lars will come and have a chat to you about what they're doing at Planet Protector. They'll be followed by Daniel and the team from Dean and the team at EPS Australia, and lastly, Daniel will talk to you about Sidecut, who are setting up a plant here in Australia. So the format you can see there, I'd encourage you in the audience, if you have any questions for our panelists, you can pop them into the chat function or the Q&A function. Please just remember to direct it to the presenter that you're asking the questions for, and they can hop in before or after their presentation and answer any questions that you might have. So without further delay, Lars, the floor is yours. Please tell us about Planet Protector.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, good morning, everyone. And my name is Lars Jung. I'm the Sustainability Manager here at Planet Protector. And I'm here to talk to you about one of our new products called JEANIUS. Now, Planet Protector started off as a packaging company that basically harnessed the power of sheep's wool to make insulated packaging. That's why I have a sheep sitting behind me, because that's always been our mascot. That's always been our mission to make sustainable products using sheep wool. So we started off as a packaging company. We did very, very well, supplying mainly to the food and pharmaceutical industry when providing insulated packaging. But of course, as we grew as a business, also as we grew as a knowledge, with our knowledge, we also wanted to expand into new sectors. And using the same knowledge about insulating a box, we figured that we might as well also be able to insulate buildings, acoustic and insulate, in between partitions, and so on and so forth. And as such, our new product was born. So we're moving a little bit away from wool, but we are moving into a new product that has been aptly named JEANIUS. Can we go to the next slide, please? I do want to, of course, do a bit of an acknowledgement of country. Now, I am sitting in Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, but of course, one of our big facilities is in the Bunurong, is amongst the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation, so down there in Melbourne. So I'm just wanting to acknowledge both lands because we do benefit from both sides of, both sides of the parts of Australia. Next slide, please. So quickly, where we start with the construction industry. We know that the construction industry is a massive contributor to waste. As for the Australia's wasted report in 2025, the construction industry generated about 29 million tons of waste that's been divided in a few different sectors. Namely, I want to hone into expanded polystyrene because that's used extensively when it comes to insulating buildings. And the construction industry is responsible for about 65% of all expanded polystyrene use in Australia. In addition to that, for every meter square built in Australia, we waste about 141 kilos of different types of material. And to make this even worse, a lot of that will be virgin material and not of recycled nature. Only about 4.6 of that is from a circular sort of source. And honing back in on insulation that's traditionally used in Australia a lot is very, very carbon intensive. It does contain a lot of toxic microfibers and VOCs, and it's incredibly difficult to recycle. As such, at the end of a life of a building, a lot of these insulation materials will end up in landfill. Next slide, please. Introducing our bit of solution. Last year, we've completed the construction of a $15 million state-of-the-art fiber processing facility. What this allows us to do is to take a variety of different fibers, upcycle them, and create different products such as building insulation, acoustic insulation, and of course, packaging for the other side of the business. In addition to that, we also do a lot of geotextiles and bedding, which is just speaks to the capability and the breadth of what our machine can do. We have aptly named the machine our Oompa Loompa from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because as you can see, there's a huge connection of piping systems that we have going through the entire facility. But basically what we have built in Australia is the Southern Hemisphere's most advanced fiber processing facility. And like I said before, it allows us to take a variety of fibers and basically make them into insulation that can be used for building, for acoustic paneling, soffits, so on and so forth. And we're very, very proud to have been able to bring this technology back into Australia, supporting local businesses in many, many different ways. So can we please go to the next slide, please? And introducing, of course, our new product. And as the name would probably signify, Jean is for genius. So we've, of course, taken recycled cotton. We have been able to upcycle it using our machine and create a new insulation product that's the first of its kind in Australia, made again from 100% recycled denim jeans. This has been done in Europe quite extensively, especially in Germany and France, but this hasn't been brought down here. So basically what we've done, what we had to do over the last about year and a half is, of course, set up the machinery, which took a lot of time. In addition to that, of course, we had to get all the compliance, which we have done. Of course, we have Group 1 fire rating. We've done our noise reduction coefficient ratings as well. And of course, R values, where we hit anything from R value 2 all the way to R value 6. So basically spanning all the different types of buildings that we need. In addition to that, it is a non-toxic alternative to what we already have on the market because it doesn't have any VOCs. But more importantly, you can handle it without any issues because it's just end of the day, this is only a recycled denim or cotton. So installing it, you don't need any special PPE or equipment. And as you can see from the image on the side there, it installs very, very easily without any sort of issues. But more importantly, we can also speak about the sustainability of it. Because we're using a resource that would basically be ending up in landfill, we are saving a lot of carbon emissions from going into, well, from being wasted, but also we are diverting this particular waste back away from the landfill and using it into our product. Now, I do want to preface by saying we do have a small percentage of recycled PET, which we use as a binder, but only about 5 to 10%. The rest of it is just cotton or denim jeans. Can we please go to the next slide? In addition to that, denim has one of the best noise reduction coefficients that we have on the market. From our testing, we understand that our product is probably the highest with an NRC rating of 1 at 90 millimeters thick. This is why denim is used extensively in the automotive industry, such as in your Mercedes-Benz and your Volkswagen, as the acoustic insulator to reduce road noise. As such, we want to harness this particular technology, and we are basically making products that are incredible acoustic insulators that can be used as partitions in offices, as baffle blocks, as soffit liners underneath parking lots and driveways as such. But again, it's just harnessing that particular technology that reduces the noise so much more efficiently than anything else in the market to create a new product that we haven't really seen before. So we could go to the next one, please. The main benefits, of course, to any of the businesses that will be working here is that we'll be heading towards more of a net zero aligned product by using our denim insulation. We have a completely ethical and transparent supply chain that we're always happy to share. And we're also in the process of doing a complete LCA so we can realize how low our carbon footprint is when you compare it to your fiberglass insulation or your mineral wool. In addition to that, our manufacturing facility is in Altona North, so it's 100% onshore, which reduces lead times, but also gives us a lot better opportunity for product research and development with any of our partners. In addition to that, we have incredibly competitive pricing, and that is based on the fact that we have a highly automated line that basically produces a large amount with very, very little bits of labor. As such, we know that we're very competitive with even in imported products that people might see as a more cost competitive option to us. In addition, we are ISO certified, and of course, we are a woman-owned business and B Corp certified too. Next slide, please. What we foresee basically in the future is that much more of the infrastructure is going to be demanding a low carbon and circular solutions. Australia-made policies are also going to be on the forefront of a lot of decision making, while circular economy initiatives and local manufacturing will be something that we're going to see a lot more of. As such, we're very, very proud of what we've built here with a local manufacturing using circular products that puts our health of ourselves and our buildings first. And of course, we are very, very proud to be associated with many, many different organizations, such as your Green Star, your GECA, and soon to be also your VEET or your VEEX certification too. And next slide, please. And that'll be it for me.
Thanks, Lars. Yeah, it's fantastic. And my only comment is, can I buy this? Is going to be on the shelf at my local Mitre 10 or Bowens, or is it?
It's a great question. So with large enough quantities, we are happy for anyone to deal directly with us. So feel free to reach out to us directly on our website. For smaller quantities, for builders in the room or for smaller projects, you can always go to Bowens Insulation and soon to be Pricewise Insulation too.
Fantastic. Thank you. Great to hear that's free, available through retail. Panelists, over to you. Anyone want to take the mic first? Leanne.
I'm happy to. Yeah. So, I mean, fantastic product, Lars. There's a few things, I guess, to call out straight away that I think are really, really strong. obviously the circularity of it, using reusing old denim jeans is fantastic to see. Obviously the local production as well. So local waste, local production, local jobs, local opportunity is fantastic. It's a really strong element. And obviously the toxicity as well. We don't talk enough about the toxicity of the products we use, especially in the buildings sector, I think. And that we have these long-standing, as you would know, as most people would know, these long-standing kind of BAU products that are actually quite toxic to handle, to use, to cut, and then obviously the recyclability at the end of the day as well. So I think that's some really fantastic strengths. I have a couple of questions. One is around, which is I guess an obvious one that comes up, which is around the fire resistance of it, and how is that managed, and have you had to treat it, which adds a toxicity in order to achieve fire standards, I guess. And then the recyclability, how much have you looked into that from in terms of what does the, I guess, third life and fourth life of this potential product look like?
Perfect. So in terms of the fire treatment, yes, we do have to get the fibers treated for fire retardancy, and that is of course done by one of our partners before being brought into us. And of course, through that we have achieved all the necessary group ratings in regards to fire safety. So that's all been done. And then the second part is the recyclability. Now, I should have mentioned more about this as I went through the presentation, but part of our machine, which is incredibly versatile, but also does a lot of different things, we can actually take back any of the material, and we're happy to take back any of the material that we put out into the market, because essentially what our machine can do is to break the materials down, and we can use a portion of basically recycled jeans in the new virgin product that's being made. So that's something that we can capably do. As a good example, we worked with Bendigo Bank and one of their recycling partners to bring in some of their old polyester insulation. Now, our machine is almost fiber agnostic. It can take most types of fibers. So they decommissioned the building. They brought back the polyester insulation. We broke down the polyester insulation, and we put 20% of that back into the new build so that they could basically have a recycled product made totally in Australia. So that's sort of the capability of what we can do in terms of recycling, but also the breadth of fibers that we are able to take.
Just on the take back. So have you got a formal take back scheme, or are you considering a formal take back
Yes,
scheme?
we are considering one. So,
Yeah.
and it'll be in our most of our terms and conditions when we're selling. It'll have that in in the small print at the bottom, and it's going to be something that we're going to be wearing on our shoulders quite strongly, because we have done it in the past with the packaging side of the business. So I'm always going to speak from two hats,
Yeah.
and with the packaging side of the business with the wool product, we managed to do that very successfully. So we have an operation in New Zealand. Basically, we would send out 22,000 boxes in a week. We would get probably about 80% of that back from the customers. And what we would do that is break it down, recycle, and make it into new product. So we have successfully done this in the past. So we feel very confident we can do this again with this.
Fantastic. And for those who aren't or won't use the take back scheme, what does the kind of end of life recovery pathways look like there?
So it's a great question again. There is, like I said, there is a small percentage of PET, so there is that to consider. Now, majority of it will break down. Again, the most responsible way to probably do it is possibly to take it to different types of fiber recycling facilities. If not, then it will break down in landfill, and for better or for worse, releasing very, very few amounts of PET, if you would. So that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah. So would it be a mechanical kind of, or a chemical breakdown?
It would probably be chemical breakdown, but not chemical in the sense of dipping it in a bath of chemicals, but
Yeah.
more like a composting facility type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks. I'll let someone else ask questions, Nicholas.
Thanks, Leanne. Great presentation, Lars. Looks like you're addressing a lot of the good stuff and the environmental aspects of the production of this technology. I have a question, one around the installation and handling considerations. Obviously, when it comes to construction materials, you've got the engineering properties that are important. There's also the practicalities of how it's installed managed in construction. I would think that that would be the same for insulation material, given that builder preferences and acceptance is probably a big part of getting a product accepted by the market. So can you just peel back just a bit of the I guess help us understand like the thinking that went on around developing this product when it came to the handling and what you saw as the biggest challenges and how you might have overcome that.
Okay. I'll take it through a bit of a journey of how we ended up where we're at. And basically, like I said before, we started off as a wool packaging company. And what we decided to do immediately was, after we purchased the new machinery, was to get into sheep's wool. Now, that was the first mode of, I guess, building insulation that we wanted to bring onto the market. And we very successfully basically designed and developed this entire thing. In fact, it's pretty much ready for the market. But we had a few hiccups when it came to wool pricing recently in Australia because it had a huge jump, probably just about doubled in a very short amount of time. And when you're talking about a product that you're trying to basically when you're trying to be the most affordable, because of course, building insulation that goes behind a wall isn't seen. So people don't want to pay as much as, say, for example, acoustic insulation that you get to see and is a beautiful partition. So what we ended up with was a fantastic product, wool-based insulation. It performs incredibly well. It's naturally fire retardant, but the price was just not right for everyone, at least for mass market. So we had to pivot. So we had to decide what other materials do we have. Now, we had been playing with denim for a while in the background, but we were thinking this is going to be a second iteration of our product or the second release of basically a product line. But we had to bring that up to the forefront. And basically, yes. So we went to the market. We had to get a really good understanding of what's already out there. We looked to Germany. We looked to France, who have already done this in the past. We managed to get hold of some of the suppliers of denim jeans and the people who they have worked with and how they treated it. So basically, we consigned them to help us to design the product. How do we treat it? How do we process it? How do we ensure that there's the highest acoustic qualities, best insulation, but also reducing the risk of fire? So through that consultative process, we basically managed to design and to build this particular product. And then, of course, getting it tested. And that's, using the testing bodies around your CSIRO, your AWTA, and your brands in New Zealand. And basically what we ended up with is the product that we have today. And of course, the testing has also gone into actual installations in buildings. So we've already had 2 buildings install our new product, and we're hoping to make that many more in the near future. Did I answer the question, Nicholas? I hope so.
No, that was a good outline. Was there any I guess development of that product in terms of you've mentioned you've got 5% as the binder for PET. Obviously, you didn't come to that answer straight away. There was probably a bit of development in that area to try and get those handling properties and the product that you wanted at the end.
Yes, so the research and development part of these are normally, to make any product, is very, very time consuming, expensive, and arduous. And it is about basically playing with the different levels of product that you have, so your PETs or your wool, and then of course, and also your densities and your thicknesses and your GSMs, and then sending that off for testing, see where we get, and then come back and rejig until you get it just right. We were lucky, like I said before, that we did get quite a bit of support from some of the international partners. A lot of people don't normally share IP like this, even if it's simple things like how heavy is it going to be, what's the thicknesses. But we did get a lot of help from our international partners who even flew in from their respective locations to help us to basically jig our machine to ensure that we got the right, I guess, the right metrics. Yeah, we were very lucky that way.
Thank you. Oh, it sounds like you've got a really good product and offering a lot of sustainability benefits. Thanks, Lars.
No, thank you, Nicholas.
Yeah, thank you, Lars. Really comprehensive. So, message to the audience there. If you're looking for a genius solution to insulation, please reach out to Lars and team at Planet Protector, or you can even order through Bowens and Pricewise. So, I might have to hop off to Bowens shortly once it's in store. Thank you, Lars.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for our next presenter, something a little bit different, Dean from EPS Australia. Dean, I hope you're not dialing from was it the Lady Gaga concert or the Grand Prix or?
Yeah, it's all happening at the moment for us. Hi all, my name's Dean Andrula, Managing Director of EPS Australia New Zealand. Just a little bit about our company. We're a leading infrastructure supplier for ground protection, seeding and stage barrier crowd control around the world. We're based out of 14 countries. And yeah, we're just looking at our footprint and looking at how we can make the world a better place with, you know, going green. So we've decided we'll go to the next slide, and we've decided to start looking at fully recycled flooring options for the event industry. So this is our new product, EPS Repro, rebranded from our EPS Pro line. We've moved manufacturing out of Italy to Australia in the last 6 months, and we're slowly starting to produce a fully recyclable product here in Australia, made from HDPE or PPE with UV stabilizer, medium load ground protection, comes in a variety of colours, used in stadium covers, footpath, marquees, dance floors and stuff throughout the event, and, you know, major events and music concerts around the world. Next slide, please. Advantages of our product: it's the fastest system on the market, 2,000 square meters laid with a crew of 16, so quite fast compared to any other product in the market. No cam locks or anything with our painted clip system. Transporting more than 40% stock on a semi-trailer compared to any other product on the market, so we're saving, you know, that way as well. Can stay down for extended times without killing the grass, without turf replacement, which is a big plus these days with the price of the cost of turf replacement in our major stadiums, looking at around $150 a square metre to replace turf. So everyone's looking at a different option. That's just a few little numbers on our product. We'll get 102 square metres a pallet compared to every other product in the market, which runs about 50 square metres to 60 square metres a pallet, getting 2,000 square metres on a semi-trailer compared to other products doing about 1,000 or 1,100, so halving our transport costs as well. Next slide, please. Just a few more stats. Like a full stadium coverage would roughly have about 16,000 square metres of pedestrian coverage. Product put down, which is, you know, 6,274 sheets. The weight of this is about 105,000 kilos, and using this, going into the recycled product, with saving on average around 588 cubic meters of waste going from landfill on one stadium coverage. The products, we have to use a color sorted HDPE if we want to make light colored floorings like whites and things, or if not, if we're making blacks or dark colors, we can go without the color sorting. So that's a, you know, a big plus there as well. And end of life can be recycled straight back into the new product again. So bring it back, recycle it, and make the new product again. Our life, we've probably looked at 5 to 7 years on life, like before would need to be recycled again, depending on the amount of use. And it's about a 10% drop in strength from virgin material. So nothing that's, you know, what this product's intended for. It's not causing any issues, what we see. Next slide, please. Already conducted turf testing on the product with Labo Sports, who are a major testing, like test all the major sporting events around the world, for every pitch, for FIFA to every World Cup, Rugby World Cup and stuff like that. So we got those guys in to run the testing up at Darwin Stadium, and the testing results against virgin material to see the difference, because we're looking at, you know, we have to prove ourselves to show that the product is as good as the virgin material to get it into these major stadiums and get it into these big sporting events. Rest they won't, you know, they won't use it. Next slide, please. These are just a couple of slides from, so what you'll see on the left there is the virgin material after day 4 and day 11, and the new 100% recycled material on the right from day 4 to day 11. So we're seeing some very, very, very good results on this. And we're thinking that, you know, stadiums and major sporting events, you know, we'll see this, and, you know, we'll want to do their part in the future. Next slide, please. What is next for EPS? You know, at the moment, we're about to start conducting CO2 emission testing to look in how, you know, how our work is helping in the industry and looking at the bigger picture. No more manufacturing in Italy. We've moved manufacturing into Australia. So we're manufacturing now out of Preston, Melbourne. Where else are we? Yeah, getting the word out to the festivals, promoters, stadiums in our industry to show there is a better solution. That's our next, you know, big big thing here. And while EPS is world leaders in event infrastructure, we need to be more proactive in the building, government, rails. We also seen this product being big in these sectors, and talking to our major sporting competitions and stadiums. This is what we're doing. Sorry. In Australia alone, we probably look at needing, 3 full stadium coverages, which is, 48,000 square meters of coverage, taking a lot of product out of the landfill, and another 15 to 20,000 square meters of products for festivals, coloured products. How big the building and government sectors are yet to be explored. That's our, next thing to look into, and expansion into Bunnings and things like that for people buying products for smaller marquees, maybe cover, garage covers and things like that, covering their floors in the garages. So the more we can manufacture, the more we can get out of landfill, the better. That's about it for me. Sorry, it's a little bit short, but I'm so busy at the moment with everything that's happening around the country.
Not a problem. Thanks. Thank you, Dean. And great to see that even, with sectors like the events and tourism industry, there's a lot that can be done there with circularity, and that you're looking to share that with the other sectors like what we have here today. Nicholas, I'll hand over to you first this time around.
Good. Thanks, Dean. I've just got a question about you're trying to get into the government building rail type markets.
Yeah.
Now, I can't speak for flooring or events type materials, but just generally speaking, when it comes to specifications, there is a general, I guess, approach to how it's specified. We don't try and specify products as such. It's more around the technical properties that the product would have to meet. So it really opens it up. As long as you meet those ones, then that product can be supplied. Does that change anything in terms of your product, or how have these been specified in your experience with this type of products?
For our products, it's mainly we're just exploring into them sectors at the moment. But at the moment, it's just everything's festivals and events. So it's all exploration at the moment. And this product, the way we see it, is used for pathways and footpath diversions and things like that at the moment. While we're developing at the moment a fully drivable product also that's going to hopefully hit the market within the next year, that can for cranes and the heavier loads. So it's how we're looking at it at the moment.
Good. Thanks, Dean.
Thanks,
Dan, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Dean. I have a couple of questions. This seems like a really quite obvious one that should be recycled. When I look at it, I just kind of we have recycled packaging now. We have recycled in so many elements. Kind of similar to Nicholas's point before, there should be no technical from an events perspective anyway. I'm not an events person, so I don't know the technical requirements for event flooring, but it feels like a really obvious one that doesn't need to be virgin plastic. So I'd like to understand a little bit more. Is it just BAU behavior? Is there a reason why, what are the main barriers to the transition to recycled? Because it just seems like an obvious kind of one-for-one replacement.
I just don't know if anyone's really gone down this road. I think everything's just made out of, while every product in the market can be recycled, it's all HDPE or it's all PP. So everything's can be recycled, but everyone just seems to be making it. I would say 80% of product is made overseas and then shipped here. So that's another big part. And I think, it is a very, very easy swap. For someone we've got the turf testing, we've got the strength testing, we've got everything there for major promoters and stadiums and that to say, listen, we want to go down this road. We want to make sure that, we're doing our part. This is a very easy swap for them.
Yeah. So the obvious kind of one that comes up from a barrier, and it can be a journey, but is around price point. So where does it sit from a price perspective, I guess, with the virgin material?
Same price.
Same price.
No different at all.
Okay. Yeah, so you're offering a recycled product that is manufactured in Australia that offers exactly the same technical properties at the same price. So all we really need is adoption.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've got a few people at the moment, talking to a few people at the moment, and a lot of promoters and things like that, and they're getting involved, and they're starting to think about it. But it's the stadiums. We have to convince the stadiums that the product on the ground is as good as the product out there.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of, experience we had in that transition in transport. Like, you have to address quality, and a lot of it's perception issues, like, perceived quality. But is it from the promoter and the stadiums, how much is the awareness around sustainability as well? Is that a barrier in terms of?
No, you've got companies like Live Nation, biggest promoter in the world. They've got Green Nation, so they've got an offshoot of their company. So they've got a part of their company that's looking at all this kind of stuff. And then you've got green music, green festivals, and that little offshoot companies that are getting bigger as this as everyone gets more into this. They're growing. They're growing at a big rate. And a lot of the festivals are working with these people now, and they're happy to talk to us about this.
Yeah,
so
great.
we're at the point now where we're just looking at the market. I'm ready to start manufacturing next week. I've just got to get the the awareness out there and get people to accept it and say, yes, this is what we want to do. Let's do it. And we're ready to go, ready to start.
And my other question is around so obviously it's a HDPE and PPE, and they are fully recyclable, as you said. But what does that look like currently? How much in an average kind of in the BAU, how much product is being reused from event to event, or how much is actually kind of almost single use and ending up in landfill, if you know roughly?
Ours, from what we do, ours goes out to event, back to the factory, cleaned, used again. So it keeps just turning over. We are seeing big, cups and recycled cups or disappearing, or landfill cups and stuff. Everyone's using these Wise and all these other companies now that are washing the cups and bringing them back out and stuff like that. So they are changing. I don't know how fast this is going to take off, but from our point of view, I just think it's about time that we shook up the industry a little bit and got people listening.
Yeah, great. Obviously there's a lot of opportunity in the industry to move. It's good to hear. So what do you need? Like, what is it that you need to help grow this, do you think?
I think just people to be, there is something out there that they can, ask for, and they can do their bit. There's just, at the moment, stadiums and everyone's set in their ways.
Yeah.
And in this industry, and it's just getting the product out there and just letting people know that it's different. There's something different, and it's as good. Yeah. So I've got the samples. I've sent samples out to all the stadiums for them to run all their testing, but it's just too busy this time of year with AC/DC here and Lady Gaga and Colt. As they keep rolling in, no one has time to do anything or test it. So hopefully I'm hoping end of next year, the season come next year, we're hopefully rolling out our first full stadium coverage and getting other people aware.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Dean. And I suppose the messaging there, for anyone on the call who has anything to do with events tourism or is looking at temporary flooring, maybe have a chat to Dean and him at EPS, because I think whether you're a council building a little sports stadium or your next contractor there is better to bid for the Olympic Games, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity there to influence. So thank you, Dean. I understand you might have to run off to a concert.
So I've got to quickly get going. Bye.
Cheers. Thanks for sharing.
Bye.
And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce you to Daniel from Sycut, who is just setting up shop here in Australia. Daniel, over to you.
Thanks, Joey. Thanks, Lauren. My name is Daniel Coots, and I'm from Sycut Australia. And looking forward to talking to the audience and pitching to our panel about our recycled plastic lumber products, which are structural grade and are suitable for a whole range of use in civil construction, road, rail, product uses like landscaping, architectural, street furniture. Essentially, the applications in the construction sector and infrastructure are almost endless when we look at where we could manufacture our flexible products and have our our products supplied compared to conventional construction materials like timber, steel, concrete. We have a lot of suitability for a whole range of existing construction practices. So if I could have the next slide, please. So SciCut, we're just establishing in Australia, but we are a global leader in the supply of recycled structural grade polymer composites. And there's more than 2 decades of manufacturing and composite material science and experience that's gone into the history of the business. I think a lot of the original research into the material came out of some university research in the US, I believe, and then SciCut has had multiple decades of continuing to evolve the science behind it and the engineering and applications of it with a range of innovation and progression of the science and the manufacturing technology. So we've got a history of use of our products in over 25 countries around the world at the moment. And yeah, it covers everything from road, rail projects, bridges, ground retention structures, landscaping and street furniture. The heritage of the business, the products originally were conceived and sold to rail operators, particularly in the UK to begin with, and then around the world. And so we have a long history of supplying to the rail industry and meeting their very stringent and robust standards. And then more recently, we've been expanding because we have the product suitability and the manufacturing capability into wider plastic lumber applications. And so, of course, being a manufacturer of recycled products, sustainability is at the foundation of our business. And we see a lot of alignment in the work Victoria is doing on the recycled first policy and everything ecologiQ is doing, all the material that's out there around the reference guides and the potential applications in Victorian infrastructure projects for recycled plastic products. We see a big alignment too, and all of the objectives around a circular economy we think we can support very well. Your next slide, please. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we have our foundation was a manufacturing facility in the UK, and we also have since then expanded into the US, and we're very proud that we're expanding our facility or our manufacturing capability to Australia now, and this will be our third facility. There's a photo there of a manufacturing facility in Bathurst in regional New South Wales, which we're currently constructing, and that photo's from a couple of months ago, but we're very proud that is progressing. And in 2026, we will have Australian local manufacturing. The next slide, please. So our product is sustainable. So typically we take our materials from a post-consumer feedstock. So this could be plastic, this could be drink bottles, this could be various consumer products, it could be shampoo bottles, could be toys. So we collect those locally, and then we have local manufacturing, which then, so we're diverting the recycled plastic materials that has been collected and sorted. We're diverting that obviously from landfill. We're then producing that locally with local jobs, local factories, local supply chain, local inventory and logistics. And then one of the key points of difference in the value proposition of our products is the structural grade of our products. There are quite a range of other plastic composite building products available. Typically, they're not suitable or don't have the structural characteristics to work in load-bearing applications, and also often they're not suitable for use in contact with the ground or in a continually exposed environment, particularly with water. So often we've done a pretty good job of the industry of developing the use of composite products in things like decks and in floorboards, but often what you'll find is the substructure below that might not be a recycled composite material. That may still be a timber product, or it may be steel or concrete. And so what might have there's differing levels of design life and product life, and a whole range of different carbon outcomes that are happening in those sorts of conventional products where the plastic composite product did not have the ability to perform a structural grade role. And so, as well as our products, one of the key value propositions SciCut offers is the flexibility for our team and the knowledge of our team to work with projects, to work with engineers, to work with asset owners and understand your needs and to create collaborative solutions. There's a whole range of things we can do with the tooling and the moulding in our factories, and we see a really endless range of opportunities to apply our products to create value for clients. And so we very much, our team of engineering and manufacturing capability is a big part of our value proposition as well as our product range. So the durability of our product is critical or important to the value proposition. It's not going to degrade, rot, rust, splinter. Design life is 50 plus years. It can be installed in posts in the ground. It can sit in marine environments. It can sit in water exposed environments. From an installation point of view, our products are very easy to use. They're cut and fixed with standard tools that tradesmen that might work with timber could use all their same tools to cut and fix our product. Connections are very conventional fixings, typically bolted connections. So very comparable with how the alternative materials currently structures are built. And a key advantage is the low maintenance of our products for councils, for infrastructure, asset owners, engineers. You can specify or use our products, and there won't be a need to come back. Or in installation, there's no need for coatings or flashings or treatments to deal with the on installation life. But then from a maintenance point of view, as you go on, there's no need to come back and repaint or recoat. So all of those things together has allowed our product to be trusted for more than 30 years globally, and in more than 25 countries now. So look, again, very much the circular economy that Victoria is promoting, and all these sort of initiatives that we believe we're very, very much aligned with. Like I mentioned, the feed material that we source is typically post-consumer. So we're sourcing that from a range of recycling and collection facilities. We're sourcing that locally, and then we are manufacturing locally. And then at the end of life, our product is recyclable. We overseas, we have established take-back schemes, and we'd apply something similar in Australia. So the opportunity is certainly to support from the beginning to the end of the asset life or the project life, a genuinely recyclable, sustainable product. The foundation of our company is very strongly focused on safety and quality and the environment and engineering. Just a couple of images here of some of our global certifications. We'll be developing additional certifications for Australia, but we're very, very experienced with the demanding requirements of tier one infrastructure projects, rail operators globally. And we have a very, very well-resourced and capable testing and engineering and quality team, and of course safety as well. And so you can expect that any of the sorts of compliance or technical support that you would need for using our product in a major infrastructure project, then we will have that requirement met. I've just there's a few slides now with some potential applications, and look, these are just a small cross section of what is possible, and hopefully to get some discussion started and potentially some interest. This, as I said before, the heritage of our business is in the rail sector, and particularly for supplying railway sleepers. So SciCut globally has supplied over 300,000 sleepers to railways in over 20 countries. There's a whole range of studies which I haven't brought today about the quantifying the carbon benefits of changing from alternative sleepers like concrete that various rail operators have undertaken to confirm the choice of the site cut product has delivered a vastly lower carbon outcome. The photos here of an Australian project which we did recently. This is for Horizon in Kalgoorlie. This was a demonstration project which the client was very happy with. The installers were very happy with the simplicity of the installation, and the cut and fixing techniques were very consistent with their experience of alternative products, and that's now in service as a demonstration. Next slide, please. Okay, the potential for use of our products in street furniture, in urban design, in landscaping is a huge opportunity, and we have the flexibility to design to produce our products in a range of section sizes and lengths that could suit the diverse range of opportunities here. And we can see in the work ecologiQ has already done that there's a whole lot of opportunities for uses in street furniture and potential urban design, which we very much are ready to support. The products, they come from the factory ready to install without on-site coatings, treatments. They're, as I said before, cut and fixed by tradespeople, very similar to the other materials they might be using, but they come with the benefits of the quicker install without the need for additional on-site protections, and then the very long life and low maintenance. Next slide, please. So bridges is a great possible application for our products. We can essentially supply the complete everything that constitutes a bridge, whether it's the posts, whether it's the bearers, whether it's the joists, whether it's the bridge deck itself, or the hand railings or the edge protections, all of those products we can supply. And there's the possibility to undertake the assembly in an offsite facility and bring in a completed item, or to construct in situ. There's a very the contact with the ground, the contact potential with water, the engineering requirements of fulfilling the role in a bridge application. All these are very, very much suitable for site cut, and we've seen globally these sorts of things done everywhere from golf course bridges for golf carts all the way up to rail bridges for rail lines, which is some of these photos here. Next slide, please. Okay, boardwalks and decking. Again, this is a very suitable application for our products. We can supply everything that goes in to make a boardwalk or a deck for a public space, for a park, for a council area, and this can be, which is often not the case with alternative composite plastic products. This can be the posts, this can be the joists and the bearers, and it can be in contact with the ground. It can be low to the ground, so very much high moisture content underneath, and it can be around ponds, pools, etc. And this can deliver for the asset owner or for the facility a genuine, completely recycled and completely long life structure from everything the public sees as they walk on the boardwalk to everything they don't see underneath, which often now is a conventional legacy type product because there just has been a limited availability of structural grade recycled plastic up until now. And the list goes on. Retaining structures, I haven't touched on those in this, but there's a huge potential for our products owing to the exposure and the structural requirements to be applied to earth retaining walls, wheel stops, noise walls, traffic bollards, the whole range of council infrastructure as well, fencing. And the photo here, I think it's a few decades ago, but I think the US Army Engineering Corps did a research and development project using the products, and the demonstration at the end was to drive their tank over it, which makes a nice photo. So thank you very much. Myself, Daniel Coots, and Thomas Staley, we're very available. We'd love to. We typically find that we can best get involved early in a process for an asset owner or an engineer or a consultant advisor or a contractor when they're considering material selection early. we are very available. Any query or any idea, we'd very much love to help, and our contact details are there. And we've got a whole range of innovation and engineering in our team, which we're ready to apply and to help open up the opportunities for greater uptake of recycled plastic lumber in our infrastructure and building and steelworks projects. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Daniel. Is there anything that you can't make from Psycut? Perhaps the tank. No, I'm joking. So itself. Nicholas, I think you've popped up first on my screen. So fire away.
Very good presentation, Daniel. It's really exciting to see the type of different applications that product can be used for. I have a couple of questions. One, you've mentioned that there's structural purposes that product can be made into. Now, this is probably more because it's of the recent fires in Hong Kong that has kind of got the attention of everyone. But what work has been done in terms of assessing the fire resistance or the fire hazard of that product?
Yeah, that's work that's been done in our global engineering teams. So we've supplied our product to a whole range of very fire sensitive installations in the rail industry. So underground, in tunnels. We've done a whole range of testing that considers that particular application. The product, so it does not propagate flame, and it passes a whole range of the testing, whether they are ASTM or equivalent testing for applications overseas. It would, but basically I'm sure as you know, the risks in the scenario of use and the particular regulations of the jurisdiction where it is used are important to consider in order to make particular compliance outcomes about a particular use. But and certainly for Australia, you need to look at the risk and the application, and then often testing can be done as a system. But we're typically would be in the same sort of category as timber. But yes, we're on an application by application basis. We've gone through a range of flammability and fire testing, and been able to demonstrate for overseas applications that the product is safe to use from that perspective and suitable. But we'll be looking at particular applications in Australia as well, and just going through the use and the risk and the compliance requirements and additional testing if we need it.
Yep. Thanks, Daniel. Another question is, we talked about durability. It's obviously a key property, especially for asset owners. Now, your product or your company initially went straight to rail sleepers, which is a very brave, because I understand it's a very challenging requirements to meet, properties or requirements, especially for rail use. Now, can you give us just some insights into, I guess my concern with, when I hear plastics and thermoset polymers and things like that, it's around its resistance to degrading in service conditions. So, when there's prolonged exposure to UV, environmental hot cold cycles on plastics can be a potential risk. So how are these addressed in your product?
Yeah, so I won't do even half, or my efforts to answer this won't be anywhere near as good as the founders of the business and the global engineering and compliance team. But yeah, I understand that's an important consideration, and really the evolution of their 2+ decades of material science has considered a whole range of those sorts of factors: the durability, the UV stability, potential creep, thermal expansion, thermal conductivity, as well as a whole range of other performance characteristics, flammability, which we talked about as well, or fire performance. So certainly the application for the rail industry, the product engineering and manufacturing performance or characteristics meets and exceeds all of the rail industry's needs on those points. And there's a whole range of coming up on 30 years of history of the product being in use, and not continuing to deliver as it's designed to. And there's a whole range of testing that our global team can do on accelerated testing, and the ability to prove in a quicker testing timeframe, those sorts of things. We at things like other products where in the lumber space, the timber space, some of the performance of, say, alternative products like timber, some of those sort of engineering characteristics, the durability and the cycling of the loadings, or the timeframe of loadings, can see some very quick degrading of some of the structural performance of, say, if you were looking at, for example, treated pine as an alternative in some of the structural applications, joists and bearers, that our product just doesn't have it. The tested parameters persist quite strongly for the life of the item, which is quite different to say pine or timber. So yeah, that's I might not have answered your question as directly as you wanted, but look, it's certainly a key consideration in the engineering and material science that has gone into SciCut, and standing behind our product with a whole range of independent testing that confirms that is core to the business.
Thanks, Daniel. No, I've got no doubt it's been addressed. I mean, we've got our AS standard for rail products, and I believe that your product has met it. So that would have covered a whole range of durability, wear testing, mechanical properties, and all of that. So yeah. No, it sounds like you've got the product. It's been in use for a long time. It's got a track record. That's usually really good evidence that it is performing well. So no, I think you've certainly got a bright future ahead with this product. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicholas. Dan.
I'll ask a question that also is related to one of the ones that have come in online as well, which is around the composite mix itself. What is the composite mix? And is it the same with every product? Does it change kind of for the purpose? There's a few parts of this question. What percentage is recycled overall? And one of the reasons I asked that is the pictures that you showed aesthetically do not look like a recycled composite at all, and for most of them. And that is actually really important from a uptake perspective, because one of the barriers is the actual aesthetics of some recycled composite products in the market. So yeah, just a little bit interested in the actual kind of composite mix itself, how it's put together. To reach that structural grade, do you have to, do you use a different mix for different kind of applications? And then what percentage recycled are you actually kind of looking at overall?
Yes, great question. And yes, certainly a few elements to that. So at a high level, the mix is HDPE with glass fibres to create the structural matrix or the structural performance. So we have some flexibility in the input materials that we can take because of our manufacturing process, and this can mean that we're quite flexible on the colours of the HDPE recycled materials that we source. Some other processes are very selective and they only want particular colours, but we can essentially take all colours of HDPE items that might be recycled and collected and make that into our products. So I'm not actually sure of the exact ratio percentages of the glass to the HDPE, so I won't try and guess to that. But the recycled content is extremely high. The plastic makes up the majority of the item. And yes, your comments about it doesn't look like maybe what you might have seen in some other plastic lumber products is very, very correct. And it looks, to handle the samples and to look at the samples, it looks actually quite similar to even like a item of dressed hardwood, which is feels quite nice. Like it feels like a a product that you want to handle and use. And it's so some of the other products, if I understand them correctly, some of the ones that you might have seen in the past, which look a little bit differently, I think they use it potentially even like a wood or potentially like a paper or some sort of as an alternative to the glass fibres which we use. They use a different matrix or binder that can create that different surface finish. But our production processes and the development of 20 years of manufacturing expertise, part of that is the finished, the quality of the finished surface of the product that comes out of the extrusion line, and that's a key part. The quality of what that finished surface is, and the ability or how aesthetically pleasing and how high quality it looks is part of the development of the manufacturing process. And it does. I think personally, it looks like a really high quality product that you can see the strength of it, and you can visually it can blend very well into a urban environment or a built environment as a very aesthetically nice product, which is quite, like you said, quite different to maybe some of the other ones you might have seen in the past.
Yeah, great. I have a backup question. Sorry, I know we're running over a little bit, Doi. This is related to kind of the end of life of the product itself. So, I mean, it sounds like a fantastic product. Structurally, to meet those structural applications is one of the hardest things. It uses recycled materials, which is fantastic. But what is the third and fourth life of the materials of the composite looks like? How much have you tested the recoverability of the products? What is the potential toxicity? Like, what is the potential future problems we may have to be encountering, with products as well? And something that is coming up a lot when recycled plastic is being used is around leaching. So similar to the degradation that kind of Nicholas was talking about, but less from a technical degradation, but also just leaching, especially when they're permanent applications as well. So if you're putting something, drainage over waterways, bridges, just how much has that been studied and looked at? Kind of wanting to unpack the end of life recoverability a little bit.
Yeah, so some of the specifics there go beyond my knowledge of the product, but I know our global team could certainly can get you some follow-up information. But the product, what our experience has been in the actual design life, we're saying 50 years, or I've said that today, but it's essentially a permanent product, and the asset or the piece of infrastructure or the project may well reach its end of life before our products do. But in the case where we have had a product returned, like we absolutely can fully reincorporate that into a new product. So essentially it's a complete recovery of anything that might come out of, whether it's surplus from a project or the asset's just reached its end of life and we've taken that back. We can completely reincorporate that in our manufacturing process and make a brand new product with a whole other design life, with nothing going to waste at the end. So from that perspective, that's quite important to us, and we're absolutely very interested in getting any product that is either surplus or no longer required to come back, and we can make sure that does complete that circular economy part, and it's very, very part of the material science that we have is our product. We can reuse and just put that back into our feedstock when it comes back to us.
Fantastic. Do you have a formal take back scheme anywhere, or are you considering it?
Yeah, we do. So my understanding is we've got formal take-back schemes in our UK, etc., overseas businesses and clients overseas, and we're intending to establish something similar in Australia.
Great. And I'll ask the last question that is being posted online as well, which is this publicly available in terms of for average consumers? Where can they go to purchase, or where will they, be able to go to purchase side-cut materials once the Bathurst facility is up and running?
Yeah, just please email me and I'll help with that. But so we're working through a whole range of how to get our product to market. We're considering some things like standardizing some joists and bearers, which could be a very common application, and then producing the technical supporting materials, span tables and engineering guides, etc., for some standardized sizing. But we do typically, through the life of, or the choice for an owner or a builder or a contractor to use our products to it being used, there's typically an engineer somewhere in there. And so at the moment, we're really focused on getting into discussions early with projects, with engineers, with asset owners, councils, infrastructure projects, and being able to help at the front end the potential application, understand how that might fit with our product and our capabilities, and then go through a collaborative process to get that specified or called for or preferred. But yeah, contact me for any interest, and in future as we get ourselves into the market, we'll make more public the sort of retail opportunities for our product.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And a last question has popped in, Daniel. I'm assuming the answer is yes. Can standard screws be used with Cycle products?
Yes. So standard tools are typically, yes, screws or bolted connections that you might otherwise use for existing products on the market are typically what are used. It's a very straightforward product to fix, and yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. So it sounds like we should be in a position where in future we can our buildings can be modular. They might have JEANIUS insulation, and they might be held together by cycle materials. And to celebrate, we'll have EPS provide their flooring and events equipment. So it's all, the future's looking potentially very circular, as it should be. I want to thank, please join me in thanking our presenters and our panelists again today for providing today's showcase. I hope it was thought-provoking, and really importantly, actually leads to opportunities for adoption of innovation, because a lot of these, we are looking for first-time go opportunities on our projects. So for those in the audience, you are constructing, building, procuring, scoping, designing. You can see there's a number of great products here that are coming to the market or on the market already that you can look at. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to our presenters today, we'll share the presentation, but please reach out to us at ecologiq@vic.gov.au. The Innovation Showcase will resume in 2026. I'd like to thank everyone for coming again today, and please have a safe and merry festive season over the holiday break, and we'll be back next year with more innovations. In the meantime, I encourage you to reach out to our presenters today and get started. So thank you again, and thanks all for dialing in.
Fantastic. Thanks, Doi. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.